The line L is a tangent to the circle x squared plus y squared is 50 at the point A. A is the point 1, 7. You can see that I've drawn this here. That's the first thing you'd do for this question, is draw a sketch. I've got my axes, I've got my circle, I've got the radius and the tangent, which is at the point A, which is this point here, 1, 7. Work out the area of triangle OAP. So let's just label our points. So O is obviously the centre, A is the point where the radius meets the tangent, and P, the line crosses the axes at the point P, so that's this point here. Okay, so I've got my sketch drawn. The first thing I'm going to do, I know that x squared plus y squared is r squared. So here we've got r squared is 50. So r is root 50. I'm not going to simplify that. I'm not going to turn it into a decimal. I'm just going to leave it as root 50 because it's going to give me a really accurate answer in a bit. Okay. Right, we also need to find first let's find the gradient of the radius, so gradient of r. And we can see here that for 1 across, it's 7 up, so my gradient is 7. So that was nice and easy. The gradient of r is 7. So the next thing is the gradient. I'm going to put m now because m stands for gradient. So the m of the tangent So the gradient of the tangent is the negative reciprocal of the radius. So if the gradient was 7, then the gradient of the tangent is going to be negative 1 over 7. Okay, so I've got my gradient of my radius, I've got my gradient of my tangent. I can now try and work out the equation of the tangent. So I know it's going to be in the form y equals mx plus c. And I know that m, we found that earlier, it's going to be minus 1 over 7. So we're going to have y equals minus 1 over 7x plus c. I know a point on that line. A is on that line. And A was that point 1, 7. So 1, 7, x is 1, y is 7. Let's substitute that in. So you've got y is 7, x is 1, so it's minus 1/7 times 1, so that's going to be minus 1/7 plus c. So I just want to know what c is. So that's 7 add 1/7. This is a calculator paper, so you can just literally put it on your calculator. So that's going to be 50 over 7. So I've got my c. I can now write my equation of my tangent. So it's going to be y equals, so that's this tangent here, is y equals, the gradient was minus 1 over 7, x plus 50 over 7. Okay, so I've got the equation of the tangent. Okay, so now we're at this point. I'm going to enlarge this circle here. So what we're actually intending is to find the area, not this circle, this triangle. We're trying to find the area of this triangle here, OAP. So I'm going to enlarge it over here. And we've got OAP. I know this is a right angle here because it's the angle that's between my tangent and my radius. So I know that it's going to be easy to find the area as long as I've got this length and this length. So this one here was root 50. I don't know what this one is. But I know it's when this line here crosses the x-axis. Now the x-axis is also y equals 0. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to substitute y equals 0 into this equation to see what x is when y is 0. So let's do that. So y is 0, so it's going to be 0 equals minus 1 over 7x plus 50 over 7. Now I've got a negative x here, so the first thing I'm going to do is add 1 over 7x to both sides to make it positive. So 1 over 7x is equal to 50 over 7. And I'm going to times both sides by 7, so I get x equals 50. So that point P there is at 50 on the x-axis. So actually this whole length here is 50. I can now use Pythagoras here to figure out that shorter side. So it's going to be 50 squared, the longer side, take away root 50 squared. That will give me this AP squared. So let's do that on my calculator. So 50 squared, take away, well, root 50 squared is just going to be 50. So the answer to that is 2,450. And I need to square root my answer just to find AP. And it comes out as 35 root 2. Again, I'm not going to turn that into a decimal. So now that we've got our lengths, we need to just find the area. So the area of a triangle is base times the perpendicular height divided by 2. So my base here, let's just take root 50 to be my base, and the perpendicular to it is 35 root 2. So that's root 50 times 35 root 2 and then divided by 2. Let's put that in my calculator then. So I've used my fraction button, root 50 times 35 root 2 all over 2, and I get 175.